Welcome to United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America on WSGW. Now, here is your host, Kareem Bowen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America. I am glad to be in the studio today with my producer, John B. in the place to be. What's good, John?
Hello, hello. You've really got that intro. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of
I don't know what that means. This is the harassment that I have to deal with in this studio. I should receive accolades and awards for the things that I have to go through here.
We did. We got an award.
We did get an award, didn't we? Hey, we need another one. Let's go back to Christmas. Christmas is the golden time. So we are here, and I'm excited because if you're from the Midwest and it's not snowing by October, it is a good time. And here we are. And I think that we're going to be promised. I want to say something, okay? And it's going to, I don't want it to be mean because it's not being insensitive, but it's how we folk in the Midwest tend to think. When it gets to the end of our summer, which if you are a Midwesterner and you spend any time, if it's in Chicago or Detroit or Michigan or in the UP, even over, I would even say Minnesota and Wisconsin, we'll include this entire Great Lakes area. We have the most amazing summers. Would you agree?
Yeah.
I think by far we have the most amazing summers. And I tend to like to spend a lot of time in the northern and on the western side of the state because the state of Michigan is when they say pure Michigan, I go to those places. And when you go, sometimes I close my eyes and I look out at the turquoise blue water and I'm like, this is heaven. This is the best. And I would compare a good summer on one of our lakes. And I'm not talking our Great Lakes because our Great Lakes can be kind of scary. It's more like the ocean, but one of our,
I love the Great Lakes.
I love Lake Michigan. Lake Superior is scary. It's beautiful.
It is. Yeah.
But it is scary. The stuff that I've seen out there, the waves, I'm like, it's something different. One of the deepest bodies of water in the world, but it's a lake, which we're still confused about here in Michigan. But anyways, so if you go and you find yourself and you perch under a tree or next to one of our, many white sandy beaches, and I know that if you're not from the Great Lakes, you're probably thinking like beaches in Michigan. Yeah, right. Beautiful white powdery sand. It is absolutely amazing. Both on the western side and then even some of our lakes, when we talk like Higgins Lake and we talk Torch Lake and Crystal Lake, some of the most beautiful lakes, beachfronts I would compare it to anywhere, right? So we love Michigan in the summer, but when it gets right around after the 4th of July and we're pushing through August because August flies by, like a bus and transit in the summertime. And we get to the end of August and kids go back to school. There's a bit of a sadness. I think we should get checked. There's probably a terminology that scientists could come up with, doctors could come up with the sadness that Michiganders feel when we have to say goodbye to summer. And the jet skis are going away and no more inflatable toys in the backyard. And if you're like me, I'm one of those people. I have a pool. So no more. Sometimes I say, thank God, no more chlorine, no more cleaning pools. But it's just the beauty of being by water. We have the most amazing summers. And there is a sadness that I get. Do you get a sadness when summer's coming to an end?
No.
You don't.
I like the crisp fall that comes in and sweatshirt weather and
okay.
I love
and football.
That might be what you enjoy about fall.
Okay.
I like the signature Michigan sweatshirt and shorts.
Well, let me say this. I think for those of us, I am a summer bunny. I'm an August baby, so I love the heat. It doesn't get hot. Well, it does. About 100 degrees, and I'm at my max.
And it's not for long periods of time.
It's
either
not.
in Michigan.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we are, covered up. It's cold from usually the end of October all the way. It used to be until like May, the end of May, but now May comes and it's 90 degrees. I don't get our weather, but what I'm saying is that as we get to the ending of the summer, there is a sadness that those of us who love jet skis, who love to fish, who love to go swimming, who love hanging out on beaches, that happens because that part of our year is gone for a very long time. And we get to fall. Now, the great thing is that the next season that we're often encountered by here in the Midwest is we go from summer to fall. And as you said, with fall comes the beautiful leaves. We have what I will tell you, people will come from all over the world to see our falls, especially when the weather does fall right. And you go through and you see the changing of the leaves. You have to go up in fall to go. It's the Lake of the Clouds in the Porcupine Wilderness. It is the most amazing, picturesque moment that you will ever see in the great state of Michigan. And I love it. And football comes in, and bratwurst and hot dogs. So all of these things begin to happen, which just make me feel it makes me be able to deal with the fact that the warm weather's gone. But here in Michigan, the folks that I talk to have this understanding that other places, that live in the sun all the time, when they have their bad seasons, the more there's bad seasons are, which is usually between June and November, the more mild and the warmer or the longer our warmer season stays around.
Yeah,
do you understand what I'm saying?
No.
I didn't know how to say that.
When it's a really bad hurricane season,
oh my gosh,
Michigan is beautiful.
We stay warm longer.
Yep.
We get changing of the colors, plus we get warm temperatures. So like today, we're dealing. I was looking at the temperatures last week. They were forecast to be back, into the mid to the upper 60s. We're in the upper 70s. The sun is shining. And it doesn't last forever, but as long as they have bad weather in the South, we have good weather in the Midwest. Midwestern folks, I know that you feel me when I say that. You think about that ever, Jonathan?
Sometimes, yeah. Like it seems like whenever we're having a great time. Better than our neighbors down south.
And so before we go too far, what we want is our hearts, our thoughts, and our prayers go out to everybody. And we can't just say Florida because it's the whole southeastern front of
these things tear
this country.
across.
Yeah, everything. And they were thinking it was Tallahassee. Just a few degrees turned. Tallahassee was dry and pretty much in place. They had some wind damage, but nothing like they thought it was going to be with a direct hit. And so I got family that is, just west of Tallahassee. And so it was, we were praying and but man, where it entered in and how it just began to bring in the storm surge. People are like, this is the worst thing that they've ever seen. They've never seen anything like this before in their lives. And we can't begin to understand what a circulating storm that is dozens of miles wide with torrential downpour. I mean, what that even begins to look like here, because it's so foreign to us, right? We have a tornado, it'll hit a place, tear up something, fly away, and that's kind of it.
And we'll have severe storms that just blow through as a front.
Yeah.
But for it to be one unit that moves around that big,
I can't imagine. And so I don't want to say I'm so engaged when these storms happen that they cause me to, I literally am watching every weather channel. I'm tuning into local channels in Florida because it intrigues me because I can't begin to understand. And I'm sure folks that are there are intrigued. You see them out and watching, but to have to experience that is something different. So I said that to say that we're praying for the Category 4 storms that we had this hurricane. I thought it was someone kept sending Hurricane Eileen until I saw it spelling. I'm like, oh, it's Helene.
Yeah.
Are we speaking now like we're from Dutch? It's Hurricane Helene. Where did they get their pronunciation?
They get weird names for everything.
I thought they were all like,
nobody's been saying Eileen. Where'd
No,
you
it sounded like Eileen.
Helene?
It was
Yeah.
Helene.
That's what it's been in the news.
Yeah, but listen to it. Helene. Sounds
Yeah.
like Eileen. If you don't see it and you hear it, and you hear someone say it, someone's got a little funky twist to it, and they say Hurricane Helene.
I hear Helene.
Because I'm saying it that way.
I hear okay.
But anyways, it sounded like, so I thought it was, oh, it's Helene. And I thought that was weird. Do you ever how they name these things?
I think it's hilarious. Each name they come up with, like Hurricane Irma. Oh no, watch out for Irma. That's just not a scary name.
It's always the hurricanes that have the Hispanic names that really do. We still trying to get away from Nino, El Nino. That's a weather pattern, though.
Yeah, that's a weather.
Yeah, it just keeps coming back. Like every time we get it's El Nino. I'm like, I thought that hurricane already, but El Nino is a weather pattern. I am lost when it comes to, I was gonna say cosmetology, but what is it called?
I could have told you if you didn't ask. Meteorology.
So we need to ask, I want to know that question. So we need to get a meteorologist on to find out how do they name these storms and where do they come from. So Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, the Carolinas, everyone is picking up after this horrific storm that's taking place. But June through November, as I said, they'll continue to have these storms. And the more storms that develop, even the strong tropical storms, even if it's not a hurricane, if we can get that buggy to push through toward Houston, then that usually means in a couple of days after the storm, Michigan, Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin, we tend to get a little bit warmer weather. So, it's crazy how this stuff works. I'm blown away by what has happened with this current hurricane. But here in the Midwest, would you trade the Midwest for anywhere else? Now let's look at this. So the Great Plains have tornadoes. Mm-hmm. The hurricane situation down in the Southwest, the Northeast. We complain about winter, but we get it easy because they actually get tons of snow, right? And that's New York included. The whole western part of the country is going to break off one day and just flow out into the Pacific if it doesn't burn to hell, right? Because it's always on fire. And as a matter of fact, family members went out to Washington State. So they were out there, thought they were going to, and there were smoke advisories the entire time. The smell of burning things was all through the air. So they couldn't even enjoy themselves. So the entire western part of the country is continuing. The Southwest, even though it's not on fire, even though there are not hurricanes or floods, it is just hotter than
the surface
Satan's
of the sun.
Toenail.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
But I think about if you go to just tornadoes all through Oklahoma and everywhere else. Is there anywhere else that there's places I think I would love to visit? And when the winter comes in, I'm like, I wish I was in Florida. But is there anywhere else that you could really see yourself just being other than in these wonderful Great Lakes?
I grew up moving state to state in the Midwest. So I've lived in Michigan, Indiana, Iowa, Missouri.
What?
How
come I didn't know this?
Yeah. Moved around a lot growing up. And
did not know this. This is why you're so cultured and why your perspective is you're so worldly.
Yeah, I'm so Midwestern. that's the world, right? No, I love it.
So where all did you stay?
Michigan, Indiana, Iowa, and Missouri. Those are
all the way around the lakes.
Yeah.
So which one was the best?
I'm partial to Michigan. It's where I've spent the most time.
Okay.
But I liked Indiana and Iowa a lot too. I remember Missouri just being hot and humid in the winter.
You like
and
Indiana?
Just miserable.
Is there any good thing in? We're not on the air in Indiana. No, is there any good thing in Indiana? No,
they get a lot more rain than we do.
Yeah,
or at least they did when I lived there.
Wow. So when I think about that, and I think about all of the times that I complain about, I hate the snow. The real fact of the matter that most people don't realize is that here in this portion of Michigan, we don't get a ton of snow.
Mm-mm.
And so I'm learning to love it. I'm learning to appreciate it. Watching today, the news today and on yesterday really made me say, you know what? Stop complaining. When it snows, go out there and make an angel like you did as a kid, because you're not having to replace things over and over again from these crazy storms that are coming in. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to enjoy I love Michigan all, in the summer, and falls are beautiful. But I'm going to learn this summer, I'm going to spend some time doing what Black folks don't do. And I'm going to spend some time in the snow. All Black folks don't do it, but the majority of us stay inside because we are tropical people. But this summer, Jonathan, I'm going to be cultured a little bit. This winter,
Yeah,
I'm going to be a bit cultured, and I'm actually going to go skiing or snowboarding. I hate having my feet locked in. I used to go skiing, but I want to go skiing this winter. Maybe a horse, not a horse, but an elk-driven carriage. They do that. I've seen that.
Oh.
And I'm going to enjoy the Michigan winter this year. And those of you who are out there that love to complain, we're not going to do that anymore. All right. Before we get to our break, I want to talk really quick. We got a few minutes here. Eric Mays, your buddy Eric Mays, the mayor of New York City, has been...
It's Eric Adams.
I'm sorry, Eric Adams.
Yeah, if you're going to call him my buddy, get his name right.
And rest in peace, Eric Mays. I'm sorry. It came so easy because Eric Mays, city council Flint. Oh, God bless you. I'm so sorry. Eric Adams, right. The mayor from the mayor of the great state or the great city of New York has now been charged with 4 counts. Basically, it's bribery. It's like taking bribes and things. When I saw what the Supreme Court justices were not reporting, and then I saw what they were indicting him on, a part of me said to myself, does it even matter anymore? And so the conversation, so he's here, I guess. I don't know if you've ever seen Turkish Airlines. They're very expensive. Oh my gosh. Absolutely amazing. If you could think taking a international business class trip at Turkish Airlines, their elite level is like a whole nother world. It's like United Emirates, right? United Arab Emirates. It's a whole nother level way of flying. It is literally a home on in the air. So $100,000 worth of these trips, some other special things and gifts or whatever. And I was sitting here watching this. I'm like, what is this about? Like, do we really expect politicians at this point in our lives to have integrity and character and honesty and all of that other stuff? Or has that kind of like passed us by and we tend to just think politicians need to be politicians? And that's kind of where we are. What are your thoughts?
I haven't been following this story at all.
He was just indicted just yesterday.
Yeah. I don't expect integrity from our politicians. It's always nice to see when they do something well. That hardly ever gets reported on, obviously. This person turned down a bribe. They're not going to go around publicizing that. But I don't know. I'm not surprised by it. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely, right?
You know what was scary to me? Is that when I saw this, I was just like, oh, it's just another politician. What's the big deal? I in my mind, I thought, what's the big deal? And I like to think that integrity and character and all those qualities of leadership that we talk about so much, like that they matter. But in that moment, I was becoming desensitized to this.
Here's what I got. If we're getting desensitized to it, here's the question. Is the system, the justice system, put in place to dissuade that kind of thing? Is the punishment to this kind of behavior up to that kind of behavior? Because a lot of times they'll get indicted on these things and they wiggle out of it one way or another. And it's just like, okay, basically a slap on the wrist for the person. So is there any real punishment for these kinds of behaviors?
Well, it's going to be interesting because I think that what you're saying is we're going to see. I think the answer is probably no. I think there's a big spectacle and a big to-do about it. Remember, was it Weinstein or whatever his name is? The touchy-feely guy
from Hollywood.
Yeah. So remember, oh my gosh, he's going to prison. Then they overturn it, and now he's out. Nobody's even talking about it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Bill Cosby, the pudding guy. He's putting his hands where he should be.
Their career's over, but other than that,
they're still old rich guys.
Yeah.
And so now I'm just kind of curious, this new thing with P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Love Doctor, whatever his name is.
Career's probably over, but what else is going to happen?
So, and I think, do you think that because he is so connected into the infrastructure of Hollywood and so connected in really with politicians and international?
Well, yeah, there are still people that owe the person favors. Yes, the reputation takes a huge hit when a public figure like that.
So we'll treat him like the old Uncle Chester that everyone knows used to touch little girls when everyone was growing up, and tell everyone to stay away from him. But the punishment won't really exist. That's what my thought is.
That's kind of how things are.
Old Uncle Chester. I don't have an Uncle Chester, but it just sounds like the right name. If your name is Chester and you're out there, allegedly, we're using that term.
We're sure you're young Uncle Chester. We're talking about old Uncle Chester.
Loosely, just to kind of to put a point across. But I just thought about that. Like, our moral ethics and those things, are they any longer important? I'm going to say this really quick, and I'm going to just make this is the controversial part of our conversation. So I've been reading through this Project 2025 thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was reading, and some of the things that are interesting is that this organization, everyone seems to think that this organization is brand new. It's been around, but it's been around for a while. And I was looking back at Reagan's, who was a president that I like, other than his idea of trickle-down economics. Reaganomics is what we called it in the hood. Unlike Bidenomics. What's up with this? There's a little ego going on here. We're going to name our plans after us. But anyways, so what was Obama's thing?
Obamacare.
Obamacare. So we had Bidenomics, Obamacare, and Reaganomics. Okay,
I think politicians need to learn to stop naming things after themselves.
It don't work. Go well. It doesn't work. Those things don't work well. But anyways, I want to get back to the thought of Project 2025. So I've been reading through this thing, and I'm almost done.
It's dense.
It is. And so I got stuck at like probably 475 for about 2 weeks. But I said, let me finish this. So I'm pushing through, and I'm somewhere around page 725, I think is where I am. But I'm looking at this. And so the Heritage Foundation has been around for a while. What's interesting is that 60% of what they presented during Reagan's time was worked somehow into conservative legislation and policy agenda, right? So it was interesting because when Trump kept saying, hey, I'm not, I'm like, okay, they changed their mind all the time. I don't know who's telling the truth. However, what I've noticed is there are so many references to his administration. And so that made me go back and like, well, who are the people that are working? And so as I looked at this and I looked at the people that were working, and this still doesn't mean that he embraces it, but it does give me pause. And I just want to know what your thoughts are. A number of his first administration, folks that were in his first administration, after you are out of office, you're looking for a new job, were brought in. The Heritage Foundation is a conservative organization for conservative folk. So it didn't make a big deal to me that they were all initially a part of this. But when I started looking at the issues that I had and looking at the relationships with folks that left his first administration that are now part of that administration, it began to make me think like, okay, your name is mentioned here 100, 200 sometime in this agenda. So it's really kind of hard to say you didn't know about it. Or that you're not aware of it. And so I want to have a real conversation. We're going to talk about this in one of the shows coming up. I'm going to shoot you over one day some of the talking points, some of the key elements. Education is one of the biggest things for me. Some of the issues on voting, the concept of defunding public education, what that looks like in this conversation, because I think it's worth us taking a real look. I hope those of you that are out there listening don't get mad. We're just going to talk about it, and you can form your own opinion. Stick, stay, don't go away. We'll be back with more United Shades of Gray.
Everybody that's watching on the stream, you're going to get a little sneak peek of this week's guest here. We just want to make sure that we can hear her. Rhonda, are you there?
I am here.
Fantastic. We'll be going back into the show in just a few seconds. Thank you.
Okay.
You're listening to United Shades of Grey on WSGW.
Hello, this is Kareem. We're back with more United Shades of Grey conversations of race in America. How did I do that time, Jonathan?
That was much more
Much
spaced
better.
out there.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. He said before I seemed like I was in the Indy 500.
You
when I
sounded
was
like you
listening.
were the pilot in an airline. Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
We never understand what they're saying. But we're going to get to the conversation that I'm really excited about. I've been excited about this conversation, and we're going to have her on here a couple of weeks, and she's going to bring some amazing kids. Amazing kids. We love kids. The two things that we love in this studio are amazing kids and pets, right? They say never do a show with them in entertainment, but we say forget entertainment. We're going to bring them in, and we're just going to create a circus. But I want to welcome into the conversation Rhonda Alexia Webb, and I think that I got it correct. How are you doing, Miss Rhonda? I got it right?
Yes.
Okay. When I saw her, I said, when she said her name to me, she's like, my name is Rhonda Alexia Webb. I said, oh, she uses her whole name. I'm just Kareem J. Bowen, right? But when people use their name, I want to make sure that I use the same name that they use. Welcome to United Shades of Grey. I'm so glad to have you in this show on today. For those of you who are listening, Miss Webb, she and I, we have not known each other forever. I've known of her. And the reason I've known of her is because she has an amazing son by the name of Brandon Webb. Brandon is, I met him, he's a friend of my brother, but he is what I would consider one of the most amazing young men, respectful, very business-minded, a lot of integrity, a lot of character, just a good dude. You know how you have those good dudes, Jonathan? And so Brandon is one of those good dudes. And this happens to be his mother. And so finally, he let her out the cage and allowed us to have this conversation. He's been holding us from her. But she does some amazing work with kidpreneurs. Is that the proper term that we should use, kidpreneurs?
It's fine. Yes.
Okay, what is the one that you prefer?
No, kidpreneurs is great.
Okay, so she does work with kidpreneurs. I love kidpreneurs.
What's a kidpreneur?
Okay, well we're gonna talk about that. Don't rush it. He said, let's get into that. All right, so when we talk about kidpreneurs, we're talking about kids who are entrepreneurs, who start businesses, who are making great things happen, and she works with them. But I want to talk because her son Brandon is an amazing young man. He works in the film industry. He has been doing some amazing things. Those who are part of Saginaw County, we just recently saw the opening of the new Saginaw United School, and I was talking with him and Brandon Jackson. They partnered on this, they collabed on this, and they're like, oh, we just put the video up. We thought we might get a couple thousand likes, and I think they're pushing like 100,000 views on the video that they did, and a ridiculous amount of shares. This thing has gone viral, but they have put the faces and the ideas of young people in the front. But I want to talk to the woman behind. Shaquille O'Neal's mom has a new show, her and Steph Curry's mom, and they're talking about raising greatness. And they were talking to moms who have celebrity children. So your son is quasi a celebrity and has worked with a number of people. So I want to have an opportunity to speak with you. So share a little bit, first of all, about who you are, Miss Rhonda Alexia Webb.
Why, thank you for this opportunity. I, as you know, am the founder and director of Kids Rule Now Incorporated. And it is a nonprofit organization that I started in 2016. And the whole idea behind Kids Rule Now is to expose kids to entrepreneurship. Now, I can really go in a completely different direction and reflect upon exactly how Brandon became the individual that he is now. We can definitely go down that trail.
Well, I'm interested. What is the secret sauce? How do you create a young person that has focus, vision, pursues their dreams, and does so with reckless abandonment? How does that happen?
Well, I can only share perhaps just a few ideas on how I think that happened. To start with, my former husband and myself owned a beauty salon in Detroit. What was not very apparent to me at the time is that Brandon was being very observant. He was aware of the fact that me and his dad owned a beauty salon, that we were entrepreneurs,
We're
but it
boss.
was but it was never anything that we really did in a deliberate fashion, as far as being very deliberate about exposing our kids to entrepreneurship. It was more something that he caught on to. And that that story kind of makes me want to back up just a little bit before I continue. I too was exposed to entrepreneurship through my mom.
Okay.
Now, my mom, mother of five kids, had a very moderate income. She worked as a school at a school in Detroit as a paraprofessional, but she started baking cakes on the side. And that became one of her passions. And it was something that really supplemented her income to a large degree, to the point that she did it for maybe over 30 years. Then I
Wow.
also saw her sell Sarah Coventry jewelry, and she was so excited about doing it. She became a different person in that environment than she was when she worked at the school. And I brought all that up to just demonstrate the power of exposure. And I think Brandon, of course, being exposed to entrepreneurship at a young age, I was exposed to entrepreneurship at a young age. And then I trusted Brandon enough to kind of let him develop into the very unique individual that he is today. And I think that even had something to do with just fueling that independent entrepreneurial drive that he has.
That is such an amazing and interesting story. But it speaks to, as you said, the power of exposure. And sometimes we take that for granted. So you are, what is it that you do? Like, what is your 9 to 5? What do you do for a living?
Well, my 9 to 5 is I work with Saginaw ISD
Okay.
at a local Head Start
Okay.
school
Awesome.
here.
So
Mhm.
you must really love kids. You work with kids for real life, and then in your spare time and in your dreams, you have incorporated kids again. Tell me about that. Where does this passion for seeing young people thrive come from?
Oh, wow. I would almost have to say it's somewhat of a gift. It's just a part of who I am. Now, I will tell you this much. I really feel that kids give me a lot of energy.
They keep you
And
young, don't they?
I often tell people I become a completely different person when I'm around the kids of Kids Rule Now. So maybe that's it. I draw off of that energy that kids just naturally have. So that makes me just naturally navigate towards them.
Kids rule now. You said that a couple of times.
Mhm.
That is the name of your nonprofit. Tell us a little bit about Kids Rule Now. First of all, let's start with the name. Why the name?
I really selected that name because I wanted kids to understand that there is a sense of authority that they can have and walk in as kids. And I really wanted that image to be embedded in their minds and their hearts more than anything else. Of course, there are some things that you have to be an adult to participate in. But when it comes to being an independent thinker and starting a business, running a successful business, that really is something that kids can do. So I wanted them to come in knowing I believe in your potential. I believe that there are some things that you can do that you may not even have the full understanding of how to do them, why to do them, but it's possible for you to have a place that you can call your domain, your business, and take ownership of it. So kids rule now.
And so many people, all you often hear, and even Whitney Houston, I believe the children are the future. I'm not gonna sing it for you. My producer's looking like not today, not today. But your concept of kids rule now is almost antithetical to the idea of what we've said for so long, that our children are our future. And your essence saying, listen, if we wait until the future for them to understand and to own leadership, then we're in trouble. The idea is to show them that they can be a part of what's happening right now.
Exactly. And you put that so well. I was writing that down. That's excellent.
We get paid for words around here. Not much else, but some words. That's what we do. All right, so let's talk about it. So you started Kids Rule Now. What was your initial thought when you decided to start? What was the motivation behind Kids Rule Now?
The motivation behind it was I'm the boss now. I'm the Boss Now was actually an after school program that I created in 2013. So that gave me the opportunity to actually teach entrepreneurship to kids kindergarten through fifth grade in the public schools. It had a very short lifespan as far as me having access to schools where I could teach it. So once that dried up, once that opportunity became less and less available to me, I knew that I wanted to do something to continue going in that direction. So Kids Rule Now is actually an outbreak of I'm the boss now, just wanting to continue that trend of exposing kids to entrepreneurship, but making it more hands-on and being able to have a wider reach. So with Kids Rule Now, I was able to start creating and doing events that brought kids into that entrepreneurship arena. Whereas with I'm the Boss Now, that was more or less teaching. Kids Rule Now is more like demonstration.
All right. So when we look at this demonstration of Kids Rule Now, we're talking entrepreneurship. You have something that is coming up pretty quickly that we're going to make sure that folks are aware of. Let's talk about that, and then I'll go back because I want to make sure that we get that information out because it's really cool. I saw the flyer and some of the lead-in information regarding it. Let's share what you got going on pretty soon.
I would love to. So I have my annual Kidposium coming up on Saturday, October 12th at Saginaw Valley State University. Now, one thing, the main thing that is so catchy about this event is the name. I knew that I wanted to start a children's symposium, and a friend of mine kind of put everything together and said, why not call it a Kidposium? So the Kidposium is an immersive event for kids, and I've actually lowered the age from 7 all the way up to 16. And it allows kids, this particular one, let me back up because I get so excited about the Kidposium. The theme, the theme of the Kidposium is the future is now. And that's very apparent because when it comes to kids, the future is not out there in the future is now. And as you said, we need to start developing them for what's ahead now. So the whole concept behind the Kidposium is to give them a fully immersible day where they are experiencing hands-on STEM activities in the morning, and then in the afternoon, they are immersed in entrepreneurship. The Kidposium has always been designed where I'm bringing in typically an out-of-state, very successful young entrepreneur to be the keynote speaker or the fireside chat presenter. And this year, this year, Gabby Goodwin of Gabby Bowes is returning again. She's known for having created a 6-figure revenue by 6th grade.
So by 6th grade, Gabby was doing
Gabby Goodwin,
6-figure revenue with her business. She created a 6-figure business by 6th grade.
Yes. And not only that, she became the CEO of her business, CEO of Confidence at the age, I don't want to get this wrong, at the age of maybe 13 or 14. And I literally questioned her about that. It's like, are you the real CEO or is this just
Mama's doing the work and putting you out there in front. Yeah.
exactly? She's the real CEO. So again, the Kidposium is just about the highest level of exposure to entrepreneurship that a kid can get on their level of understanding and comprehension. Again, it is going to be merging STEM and entrepreneurship together. And another thing that's so exciting about this year's Kidposium is that some of the kidpreneurs or teenpreneurs from Kids Rule Now are actually leading the afternoon breakout session. So they're using their businesses as a tool to show kids what's possible when you combine STEM with entrepreneurship because they have STEM based businesses.
Well, that is such an amazing opportunity. And it's interesting. I understand as I hear you speak. First of all, I love the passion and the excitement, and you light up as you talk about your engaging times with young people and teaching them entrepreneurship. But I'm excited. People are saying you and Miss Webb need to connect. You guys haven't connected. I'm like, we have not. I understand now when I talk with you on the phone, I share with you, I was like, listen, I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I have the interesting thing is that I've never sold a product. And I was sharing that with you. And to me, I think that that's kind of interesting because most entrepreneurs have a business model that they're selling a product. I guess
Exactly.
a tangible product. I do sell products, ideas, concepts, understanding information. And I say to every young person that are out there, learn as much as you can because information and how to use it is one of the most valuable forms of currency that we have available. And you can literally create a business with the information and the understanding that you have. But I want to say this. So we are doing STEM engagement and I'm a STEM lover. So I work with STEM-based companies. And so this is really exciting to me. So we're doing STEM engagement, STEM activations, and immersions with Saginaw STEM. Dante,
Yes.
okay. Shout out to Dante, who's doing some amazing work in that space. And then we are moving to these kid posiums and these immersions in entrepreneurship that are being led by some of the students from Kids Rule, which have been a part of your program.
Mhm.
What are those immersions about? What are some of the things that we're going to learn or kids will learn?
One of the main things kids will learn is the application of STEM. And I don't really want to get too
No, that's fine.
much in depth,
Well,
but
let's talk about. I'm really.
but I do want to touch upon it
But
just a very small in a very small way. I really want kids to understand that STEM has so many applications and that entrepreneurship can very easily be one. In fact, Gabby Goodwin has a STEM based business. Over the years, I've even brought in young entrepreneurs out of state who had stream based businesses. So, the major idea I want the kids to come away with is that STEM is critical. It is it's not going anywhere and it's something that kids really have to have a working knowledge of. But at the same time, I want them to understand that you can merge and combine STEM, stream, STEAM into entrepreneurship and have a very successful experience.
absolutely, we're now just getting kind of turned on to the concept of AI. And as an entrepreneur, I have been working with AI probably over the past 10 years in some way, shape, or form. And so it's interesting to see how it is now taking up a space. Uh, Kids are now learning at Web3. We're in Web3. If you look at Web one, that is kind of like your emails and web pages. Then you got Web 2 design, which gets a little bit more intricate with things such as app development and creation. And then there's Web 3. And Web 3 is largely things that are based around blockchain technology. It's cryptocurrency, it's NFT, non fungible token creation, those types of things. And
Mhm.
what's amazing is this technology is now, which is really, it's based upon the concepts, the ideas, the movement, and the uses that young people use. To see them be able to incorporate this type and this level of STEM in their professional businesses, taking them to the next level. I say this is cutting edge. I certainly want to thank you for that. How can people register their kids if they're interested in getting involved? I want to say that first. And then secondly, this is a business. This is a nonprofit that you own. How can people get connected to you if they're interested in saying, hey, I want to be a part of developing our next business leaders?
Thank you so much for asking. I keep it very simple. Find me on Facebook, I have a Facebook Kids Rule Now page, and my website is kidsrulenow.org. So just find Kids Rule Now, and you'll find me, and you'll find all the information about my upcoming events, particularly the Kids Rule Now Kidposium, and also the gala that I'm having the night before. So the main thing to remember is Kids Rule Now, and you'll find me on Facebook. You'll also find my website.
All right, share a little bit about the gala. I didn't know about the gala the night before.
Well, the gala, it's actually our third annual gala, and it allows Kids Rule Now to identify, recognize, and award some of the successful kids that have gone through the process of mentorship and exposure through Kids Rule Now.
Okay, that is so awesome. And all of that information can be found on your website and on your Facebook pages.
Yes.
All right, so we got to get us a Snap page for Kids Rule Now, as well as an IG page. And I say that because our generation centers their interaction around Facebook. But this younger generation, especially the AI generation, finds themselves in between Snapchat and IG, Instagram. So we want to make sure that we're connecting in those areas, in those ways. Is there anything that you would like to share? Because we're going to bring you back with some of your kidpreneurs to share their experiences. Anything that you would like to say? I'll give you a minute. We got 2 minutes left. What would you like to share as we conclude this portion of our conversation?
The main thing I would like to share is I want to talk to parents. It's so critical to allow your kids to just experience entrepreneurship. Sometimes we have an image in our mind, well, I don't really think entrepreneurship is for my kid. I don't think they're interested in owning their own business. But one thing that is most important is about entrepreneurship is the person you become. Even use my son as an example of that. As you go through the process of starting a business, the ups, the downs, the ins and outs, it's no different for kids. They experience the hardship. It's all about the person that you become, a person who is more quick to develop critical thinking skills, who understand responsibility, who understand about demonstrating confidence and increasing their communication skills. So that's one of the main reasons why I am so passionate about entrepreneurship, and particularly exposing kids to entrepreneurship, is because what it does to them, through them, and for them. And ultimately, what it'll do for us as a community when we see these kids elevate as they become more and more immersed in that concept of being able to make their own decisions.
I thank you so much, Rhonda Alexia Webb, for this time. I can't wait to our next show when we get some of the kidpreneurs in here and we talk about what inspired them to get into business. I often say to people, there is no such thing as natural born leaders. Children, leaders are developed. So I thank you for your time in developing our next level of business leaders. I want to thank all of you that are continually listening in to United Shades of Gray. Stick, stay, don't go away. Until next week, we love you. God bless you. Grace and peace.